country. French 24's Gulliver Cragg is in Budapest, and we can speak to him now. Hello to you, Gulliver. In France, Pride celebrations were canceled this weekend because of the heat. In Budapest, those festivities look set to get started.
Yes, in a way it's ironic that on the one day of the year when it might have been reasonable to ask the Pride March organisers to postpone it or to cancel the event, as Viktor Orbán had tried to do every year while he was in power, it's really not something that they could consider this year in Hungary, because the country is so keen to show that it has turned over a new leaf and that this is a different era in Hungary. Peter Magyar, the new Prime Minister, is of course still a right-wing conservative, but he had no hesitation in authorising this year's Pride March in Budapest. He won't be attending. The mayor of Budapest will be, but he always does every single year. They attempted to prosecute him, the Orbán administration, for holding it last year, defying a ban, and then it was attended by 200,000 people. Those charges have now been lifted. In general, although Hungary, of course, remains a conservative country, there are a lot of people who voted for Viktor Orbán until very recently, and people who voted for the far-right party, Mihazank in particular. So you can see there is still tension about this event. Perhaps you can see, if it's not too overexposed, the Elisabeth Bridge behind me, actually, it's on that side. There are Hungarian flags on the bridge. I don't know if you can see them. There were rainbow flags on that bridge in order to mark the Pride month. But they were taken down by some far-right activists, and far-right politicians offered to pay any fines that this activist might incur for taking down the rainbow flags. It led to a controversy, and they didn't put the rainbow flags back up. Them having been replaced by Hungarian flags, I think the authorities thought that it would be stirring up potential trouble too much. So you can see that it's not entirely in an atmosphere without tensions and controversy about this event, but certainly this year it's fully authorised, and the main focus of people's fears this year is not people who are against it sparking violence or reacting negatively, but the weather. It's going to be 38 degrees at least today in Budapest, glaring sunshine, as you can see. 6 ambulances are going to be accompanying the march. There are more than 200 volunteers also on hand in order to step in if people have health problems or are suffering too much in this extreme heat.
Yeah, and Gulliver, this new era, as you put it, is very young. Peter Magyar winning the elections in April. He took office on May 9th. How would you assess his first 50 days in office?
Well, of course, it's still quite early, but there have been some measures taken by Peter Magyar in order to mark the end of the Orbán era, and in order to prevent the Orbán era from returning, that have been met with widespread positive reaction, I think. One is that he limited prime ministers' terms in Hungary to 8 years, whether consecutive or not. That means that Viktor Orbán, who served 16 years in a consecutive 4-term premiership, having served 4 years also before that, would not be able to return to power. They also abolished the sovereignty protection institution that Viktor Orbán had put in place recently, and that had been widely condemned by the European Union as a means of exerting authoritarian rule. In terms of dismantling other measures that were criticised by the European Union as going against the country's rules, not all of that has been done yet, but Peter Magyar, the new Prime Minister, reached an agreement with the European Commission that the funds that were blocked by the European Union due to the violation of those rules would be unblocked as long as the rest of the remaining reforms are passed by the 31st of August this year. So Parliament is working in a sort of turbo regime. Peter Magyar has been making lots and lots of emotional, high-powered speeches, also engaging in debates with the opposition, which is entirely an opposition to the right of him. No left-wing parties made it into the Parliament. But nevertheless, he's been engaging in debate, and in a way engaging also with presenting the left, because he knows that people who would have preferred to vote for left-wing parties voted for him just in order to oust Viktor Orbán. So he's been walking that sort of tightrope and promising to get these moves, these reforms done by the 31st of August. To that end, he's also putting forward a bill that should be voted in the coming days to desist the president of his functions. The president appointed during the Orbán era has very little power, but he does have the power sometimes to delay legislation. And it could just mean that they don't make that 31st August deadline if he stays in place. Some have criticised Peter Magyar for heavy-handed tactics in trying to push the president out before he's finished his term. Others are saying that's just what you have to do. Sometimes in order to dismantle an authoritarian regime, you have to use, quite strong muscled measures.
Gulliver, thank you very much. Gulliver Cragg reporting from Budapest.